Hey guys, Pitmaster here. We're going on UFC Fight Night. Was this UFC 88? 88, I think. Anyway, it was Fox Sports 1, FS1 88. It was a good card. It wasn't the best card in the world, but there was some good fights, and I wasn't crazy about the main event. It was a little quick for me. But I do have some lessons to take away from this fight. And since the UFC is acting as our sensei now, so that means the UFC is our instructor. So we're learning techniques, very valuable techniques from the UFC, so we can become better martial artists. And all I am is the medium. So what happens is the UFC's over here doing these great fights, you're learning all these great techniques over there, and then they go through me through the internet to you. You understand that? Okay, it's a little complicated, but take my word for it. You're learning from the UFC through me. Okay, first lesson I got. It was a slugfest, and that Collier got clipped with a brutal, I think it was an elbow in the first round when it broke his nose, and his nose was broken. I mean, it was brutal. And he just got beat up by that Uda from Brazil. He was getting beaten up from him, and then all of a sudden, it started turning, and Collier started nailing Uda. But Uda was tough, and Collier wasn't really hurting him like he wanted to. He wanted to knock him out, but his head was too hard. Uda had a hard head. So Collier nailed him, I think it was the knee to the body first. He nailed him to the body, and you could just tell that all those punches to the face didn't affect Uda, but that body shot did, because he kind of went, ugh, or something like that. So Collier, he understood right away, I'm going to go to the body because the head's not working. So he did a beautiful tight spinning back kick, nailed Uda, and he could tell it really hurt him. So he softened him up a little more and finished him with a beautiful spinning back kick. So my lesson from that fight is, sometimes in a fight in the street or in the cage, somebody's head is just too hard. You can keep hitting them in the head. If it doesn't work, go to the body, because sometimes the body is softer. Okay? It's a better target to knock someone out sometimes. And sometimes somebody moves their head too much, the body isn't moving like the head. You imagine? It doesn't. So when the head's moving too much, go to the body. So the lesson is, if you can't knock him out with a headshot, go to the body. That's lesson number 1. Okay. Lesson number 2 was the fight with Vitor Miranda and Dreamy Eyes. This guy has the sexiest eyes in the UFC, Chris Camozzi. In fact, this is a true story. When you do this face-off with him, you can't look in his eyes or you get mesmerized. So you're not allowed to look at him. The UFC tells you that in the pre-fight meeting. When you look at Camozzi, you have to look down. You cannot make eye contact with Chris Camozzi. That's true. But anyway, okay, so Vitor was okay. He didn't make eye contact, but then the fight started. And Vitor has a really good right leg to the head. So now Vitor got through the stare down. He averted his gaze. He got through the stare down, so he got into the cage to fight Chris Camozzi. Okay? Now, Chris Camozzi had a beautiful strategy, and this is lesson number 2. Okay? If you are fighting a southpaw, or if you're a southpaw fighting regular, okay? So say I'm a regular fighter fighting a southpaw. First thing I want to do is I want to keep my left foot outside of his right foot. Okay? Now, he wants to do the same, so it's a strategy, it's a game. But if I always let him get his way, then he's dictating not only the distance, but the angle. And he's at a better angle to hit me right now than I am to hit him. Alright? And if he moved in, what I want to do is I want to step outside of his front leg, and I want to circle outside this way. Okay? He still has a hook. Okay, but I have more weapons than he does right now because his power hand doesn't have the reach and his power leg doesn't have the reach because I'm not over here. Okay, so if I was fighting a regular fighter, okay, and I'm a southpaw and I stay over here and I'm right in his power. Okay, his right leg, boom. His right hand, boom, and even his left hook, boom. So if I'm a southpaw like Chris Camozzi was, and this is what he did really well, he kept his left foot outside of Vitor's right foot, and he used his jab, so it took away almost all of Vitor's weapons. And Chris Camozzi was able to pot shot with a straight left, he was able to throw a couple nice kicks, and he was able to throw his combinations from an angle. Okay, because he kept his right foot outside of Vitor's left foot. And the couple times that Vitor was able to get in that position, that's when Chris did his worst. He didn't do quite as well. But once he got this angle, he was doing beautiful. He was lighting him up with combinations, his kicks, his straight lefts. He was just lighting him up. So the lesson there is, when you're fighting someone that's opposite of you in your stance, say I'm a southpaw, I'm fighting a regular orthodox fighter, I want to keep my left foot, or my right foot, my front foot on the outside of his, and circle to the outside of their power hand. Alright? That's lesson number 2. So we got 2 lessons for the UFC. Thanks for coming, guys.